All right, folks, in today's video, we're talking about Ripple being the gold standard and the suggestion that Steven Narioff had made to the early Ethereum insiders, Joseph Lubin, Vitalik, was to copy what Ripple and Chris Larsen were doing as a legitimate, transparent, and a company that was trying to lead the way. That's what we should do. But no, that wasn't the plan, as we uncover a fraud that is bigger than FTX. If you missed it, last night I dropped the 1-hour clip from Steven Narioff when he popped into my Twitter space, and he gave us about an hour of a sneak peek at the documentation and the details that he's going to be dropping here shortly, and it is absolutely damning to the infrastructure known as Ethereum that has created a token factory of 450,000 ERC20 tokens. So it is a fraud that is bigger than FTX by dollar amount, and it is starting to unravel. We'll see if anybody wants to pick up on it. I don't know if the XRP community is still interested in this story. I know that we want to see our token go up, and I think the price of XRP will go up in time. But before we get there, we have to clean up the cryptocurrency space. And that's what I've been a proponent for, an advocate for, trying to be an adult in the room and saying, we have fraud, we have manipulation, and as Steven Narioff told us, they knew that they were creating a token factory of fraud and manipulation. They didn't care. And that's really disturbing for me, not just in the cryptocurrency space, but as an American, to see our capital markets and now our cryptocurrency markets getting captured, regulatory capture, and them trying to issue a monopoly for Ethereum through the free pass and the ability for them to create their token factory. But if you missed that, I posted that on YouTube last night. If you guys can do me a big favor, share that out far and wide. That's all I ask, that you guys tap that thumbs up on all of our content, and make sure if you're new here that you subscribe, hit that notification bell, because we got a lot of updates coming your way that you're not going to want to miss. Now let's get right into the update, folks. We got a lot to cover. Today we have a bill with the Biden administration considering taking control of all internet services and infrastructure in the United States. FCC Commissioner, the Joe Biden administration has put together and is planning and implementing the most comprehensive internet censorship control plan in history. The government will assume effective control of all internet services. And this is why we need decentralized media. And this is why, if you want to hear me talk about some of these things that I'm too scared to talk of on the public spaces, that's where I take it to the private group. And folks wonder why I can't just come on out and drop all this stuff out in the public space. The censorship is only going to grow throughout the next year of this election cycle. So like I said, if you want to support the channel and if you want to get tapped in with the private conversations where I can really let it fly on all these topics, and I mean, look at what we just covered with Steven. I was scared to even drop what I did, and it was just a sneak peek. It wasn't even all of the documentation. It wasn't the recording that he's about to drop. But apparently Steven's going to be dropping the recording. It's a 3-hour recording with Vitalik Buterin, Joseph Lubin. It's going to be interesting. And he's going to be dropping it as an NFT on the XRP ledger, on the Ethereum ledger, and then he's got his own separate website that he's going to be hosting it on. But I don't know. I'm not trying to create any fear around this internet deal. I got to look into this further, but it just reiterates the point that we need decentralized media, we need decentralized money, and I'd love to have a decentralized voting system too that could actually be confirmed, make sure that we got nice, secure elections. Now, into the data though, so much to cover today. Let's get right on into it. We see that the core CPI came in yesterday at 4% year over year. We see that CPI came in at 3.2%. So headline CPI, 3.2%. Everyone's cheering. Stocks go up. But the core still at 4%. That core is what they're trying to get down to 2%. Now, the manipulation is there. We call it the CPI lie for a reason. And Wall Street Silver shares this one. This is completely fake inflation data when they do stuff like this. Does anyone believe that healthcare costs declined by 34% between October 2022 and October 2023? Thanks to the new method by the Government of Bureau and Labor Statistics, it's not your premium they measured, but health insurer profits, factoring in plan differences. Company profits dip, causing the 34%. Now, they did add a community notes to this, and they say medical care costs are shown to decrease by 2%, not 34%. Health insurance, which measures the profit of insurance companies only, decreased by 34%. The rest of the premium is moved to other categories. The long and the short of it is that it's just manipulation. The CPI that we're using today is different from the one we were using at the start of this year. Remember, at the start of this year, they shifted it again. And I don't know how many times, dozens of times within the last couple decades, that they've changed how they calculate the CPI. but it doesn't stop the market from pumping. It doesn't stop folks from getting excited. And why is that? Let me explain. Let me decode the data for you. Folks see inflation coming down. Talking head pundits run with the Fed has won the fight against inflation. So what's the Fed going to do? They're going to pivot and they're going to start to cut rates and they're going to start to ease up. And this is why our stocks rallied yesterday. So we see this article right here. Let me pull my sources here. My apologies real quick. Let's pull our sources real quick. My apologies, folks. And my apologies. There we go. The Magnificent Seven add more than $200 billion to their market caps. So yesterday we see one of the biggest jumps this year for the S&P and the Magnificent Seven that has kept the stock market propped up this whole year, right? They jumped by $200 billion in their market caps. Now, this is headline readers listening to talking heads, and the masses are getting absolutely primed and set up because when you look at the further data that we're getting, it confirms that we are getting tight. It confirms that we are in a recession, and they can pump this thing up all they want. And if you go back and look at all of the cycles that we've gone through, when the Fed raises rates, then we flatline. That is when the stocks do one last rally before we fall off. And by the time the Fed starts to cut rates, right, that's when we conclude that final rally for stocks, and then we fall off, and then we really recognize that we've entered a recession. Go back and look at the chart every single time. The same thing happened in 2006 after the Fed started to cut rates. That's when we started to go into recession in 2007, 2008. The whole thing went bust. And so that's the point that we're at right now, right, is that we've flatlined our interest rates. We're about to start dropping them. Is that going to be next year? Probably, right? And that's when we're going to start to see the equities and everything else fall off. And that's being confirmed by the data right now. We just got another one today. Retail sales in the U.S. fall for the first time in 7 months. Let's continue on. 124.5 billion worth of bonds are now in default in the entire 175 billion China property dollar bond sector. You look at the Japanese bond market, it was falling off as well. And then we look at the United States, 8.24 trillion of U.S. treasuries, will mature within the next year. This is roughly 1/3 of all outstanding treasuries and about 3.5 times more than what has been issued year to date. This is a significant problem for countries around the world, and countries like Japan, their dollar is trading at a 33-year low compared to the US dollar. They're being forced to dump our bonds. Their own bonds are collapsing because their currency sucks, right? And it's a flight to the cleanest shirt in the closet, and that still is the United States dollar. But this party's coming to an end because you look, we just had a failed bond auction last week. Sorry, it wasn't failed, but it was pretty dang close. But everybody forgets that last week, we nearly had a failed bond auction. We had the longest tail since 2008, I believe. And then we also saw that Moody's downgraded our credit. But everybody forgets that because we got a CPI lie inflation reading of 3.2%, right? And everybody's cheering and the stocks go up and we celebrate like we've won the fight against inflation. This is the masses getting primed and led straight to their own slaughter and demise. And this is going to be so unfortunate. And it's just confirmed in the data. You know, it's just a matter of being patient and watching this thing play out. And like I said, credit card defaults are rising faster than the 2008 financial crisis. You know, folks want to call this a soft landing. Folks want to say that the fight against inflation has been won. You're seeing that all over Twitter. And boy, are they getting set up. It couldn't be further from the truth. The situation is worse than you think. Yeah, credit card delinquencies are rising faster than during the 2008 financial crisis. Now, in regards to cryptocurrency, we're seeing the ETF hype. Right now, we are up against a deadline for 3 ETF filings. The Hashdex Bitcoin ETF and the Franklin Bitcoin ETF are both due. Their next deadline is on November 17th, which is when our government could be shutting down as well. Funny enough. So we have 2 there, and then we have another one coming on November 21st, the Global X Bitcoin Trust. So basically, by Monday of next week, we'll have an answer on whether or not we're going to get these Bitcoin spot ETFs. Okay, we got 2 more coming up on Friday. Another one, I think that would be Monday, the 21st. And if we don't get those, we're out till, I believe it's be January. Let me check this again. Yeah, there's no deadlines in December. And so, yeah, if we don't get approval on these ones, we're out till January. And all that hype that we had, all that excitement, it's already started to fizzle off. As you guys saw, the market dumped yesterday for cryptocurrencies. Very unfortunate. Now, the other point that I wanted to make with BlackRock, when you look at their filings for Bitcoin and even for Ethereum too, they specifically mention in their disclosures for their Bitcoin ETF how basically the Tether and the stablecoins have manipulated and propped up Bitcoin. They have to provide these disclosures, and anybody who understands crypto and what's been taking place knows that very well, right? We've been one of the few channels that's willing to actually talk about that. A lot of influencers in the crypto space, for whatever reason, don't care to talk about the fraud, the manipulation, and all these schemes. And maybe it's because they're getting those checks on the back end, and they're so desperate for that little shield check. You know how we talk about that. We've been talking about Tether for years, and it's not that I need to see Tether collapse. It's just that you can't even redeem Tether for US dollars right now, right? There's very few off ramps from Tether right now, and that's why all of it's going to USDC. You've seen the market cap on USDC drop off. That's because folks are moving from Tether to USDC and selling off because they can't get out of Tether into fiat again. So this is what we're seeing implode, and you're seeing it within the filings. I think that the SEC has a reason to even deny these Bitcoin spot ETFs just based off this. You don't know who created Bitcoin. You don't know what is actually backing these stable coins that are the main sources of liquidity for the underlying asset. That's a problem. When you go to the Ethereum ETF, you can't even get our chair Gensler to come on stage or go in front of Congress and simply ask the question, is Ethereum a security or not? How do you get a ETF filed for, how do you provide full and fair disclosures when you don't even know what the underlying asset is? Is it a security, a commodity? You have opinions to run with. You have a speech to run with. You don't have the law of the land like you do with XRP. Now, of course, we did find out that the ETF was not filed by BlackRock, or at least they say that they have not filed for a ETF filing yet. Somebody, I don't know who, tried to create an XRP trust in Delaware. And so maybe that, what was just a spoof. That's kind of what we're running with right now. But it does not remove the fact that we are going to be seeing an XRP ETF. That is going to be inevitable. And I want to remind everybody that the gold ETF sent gold up by 500%. But it also does bring in a lot of manipulation. And I, for one, am not a fan of any of these ETFs. If I'm going to get some silver, if I'm going to get some gold, it's going to be in my possession. Or if I got M's in the bank account that I need to move to gold, it's going to be in a big vault by one of the industry leaders that I can trust. It's not going to be in an ETF. Same thing with crypto. If my grandma says that she wants to get some exposure to crypto, I'm not going to let her financial advisor put her into some XRP ETF. No, grandma, we're going to come set up your wallet. We're going to get you set up, and we're going to do crypto right. So once again, we'll see where this ETF hype takes us. I've been warning. The market's already rolled back over. I'll show you guys the charts here in just 1 second. But what I'm interested to watch right now, I thought this was AI. I thought this was a joke. But I'm going to tell you right now that Binance is coming under attack. Tether's coming under attack. We heard Cynthia Loomis say, a U.S. senator say that Binance and Tether need to be investigated and criminal charges need to be brought against them. Now, the SEC has already been suing Binance, and Kevin O'Leary shows up to take advantage of this. Remember, Kevin O'Leary was an FTX boy. Right? He got paid, I think, $15 million. Not much effort on behalf of Kevin O'Leary to shill FTX. But he says the days of the crypto cowboys are over, and he shills the next Abu Dhabi M2 exchange is exactly what this industry has been searching for. An exchange that is regulated, backed by billions of dollars, and tied to huge financial institutions. This is very promising for the crypto industry. And I'll tell you why this pisses me off. You get Kevin O'Leary to come on here and shill, and has he ever, he's involved in a few lawsuits right now. I don't know if he settled those up. I know there's a lot of influencers and a lot of football players and stuff that are in trouble with FTX. I know even Shaq got tied up in it too. But Kevin O'Leary too. So he's allowed to do that. And maybe if he ever gets in trouble, it'll be a slap on the wrist. But then he just moves right on to the next shill. right? Right on to the next presentation. And I thought this was a joke. I mean, this ad that he ran, I'm not going to play it. He's got the captions. This thing, it looks like it, I couldn't even believe that this was real, that he put this out. But these guys have no shame, right? And so he's showing this. But the point is that we are going to be rolling out with, exchanges that are backed by real institutions, billions of dollars, and are legitimate. But nobody is looking to you, Kevin O'Leary, to get the next exchange, right? Nobody wants to hear what exchange you have to suggest after you told us that nobody had anything to worry about FTX. You've lost all credibility in crypto. I think you have your place in private equity and what you've done in there. So maybe know your role, I guess. But at the end of the day, these guys are all just shills in suits. Right. You got crypto influencers that are shills that have been peddling 450,000 ERC20 tokens that have been created on top of Ethereum, the token factory that we've been talking about, the fraud that's bigger than FTX. Yeah. So you got the crypto shills that have been pushing that. But then you just got shills in suits, which is who CNBC brings on every single day. And it's an absolute joke. Now, getting into real utility, we see that Fomo Pay, an on-demand liquidity partner with Ripple, they've been settling with XRP on some of their corridors. Fomo Pay, big time partner of Ripple, a leading major payment institution headquartered in Singapore, has announced that the company has successfully obtained a money service operator license issued by the Hong Kong Customs and Excise Department. With the new license, Fomo Pay is planning to launch payment and remittance businesses in Hong Kong, facilitating businesses and enhancing their global collection and global payout processes. This sets the stage for an expanded regional presence and signifies another key milestone in Fomo Pay's business growth. Absolutely love to see it. Remember, not only are they a Ripple partner that's using ODL, but they also, we saw that the Hong Kong Monetary Authority is also working with Ripple on tokenizing real estate and much more as well. So not only does Fomo Pay now have a presence over there in Hong Kong, we know that Ripple's been working directly with the Hong Kong Monetary Authority as well. Now, that's part of the reason why we call XRP and Ripple the gold standard, right? Leading the way. But in basically starting up the company of Ethereum, we have early Ethereum insider Steven Arioff, who's been blowing the whistle. And I wanted to share this tweet that he put out right here. He says, in the recording, remember, this is a 3-hour recording that he's about to drop. We're going to get this here soon. And we'll be able to confirm what he's saying right here. He says, in the recording, I use Ripple as the gold standard and Ethereum should operate. So he was trying to tell Vitalik and Joe, follow the example of Chris Larsen. Look at how he handled himself in 2014. I have other videos from back then where I discuss Ripple. I was an early supporter. Ripple has been following me for 10 years on X. And so Steven Arioff was trying to tell Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, Joseph Lubin. He was trying to tell all these guys, do things the right way, follow the gold standard, follow the path that Chris Larsen and Ripple have set. But no. And even explain how Charles Hoskinson, right, the creator of Cardano, he was actually a good guy. He was trying to do things the right way. He wanted to keep things clean. Vitalik and Joe in the gang, they didn't want to operate that way. And that's where the split occurred. Now, there's been folks already coming at attacking me, attacking Steven. And this person says, I'm sorry for asking you that. I really noticed that neither Vitalik nor Joe is taking any action to refute you. Having a lot of money and an army of lawyers, what are they cooking? And I responded and I said, they won't dare try to refute Steven because they know he has the documentation. And as we saw, when Steven pulled up in the Mario Nafal's Twitter space, that was about a week or two ago. And I played that 13-minute clip. I had recorded it, and that's up on my YouTube as well. But as soon as Steven started sharing his story, they all started scurrying away like little rats. They all ran away, right? They're all scared. And none of them dare refute this. And that's because he has the documentation. We're going to be getting it here soon. And this fraud is bigger than FTX. And as someone who cares about crypto, all I want is a level playing field. And I want us to be built off of a solid foundation, of a gold standard like Ripple and XRP is built, right? When we compare this with the rest of the space, a lot of fraud, a lot of manipulation, a lot of scams. And unfortunately, now we come to find out, we bring this story full circle. The XRP community and the sleuths and all of your work out there, shout out to you guys listening to my voice right now, because you're part of this. We uncovered this story, this great conspiracy. We put together the facts, we put together the timeline. And the facts and the timeline have never been in dispute. And now the details and the documentation that Steven is sharing are not in dispute either. Nobody dares question Steven on what he's about to drop. It's about to be massive. And I just say I'm a fan of cleaning this space up and stopping our government bureaucracy beast from capturing the cryptocurrency space with regulatory capture and trying to issue a monopoly for a project like Ethereum that knew from the very beginning they were creating a token factory of fraud and manipulation. Now, if you appreciate the updates, everything that we've been doing, please help us out by tapping that. Please share it out far and wide. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you're looking to get tapped in with our private group, if you're looking to get in touch with me, if you want to book a one-on-one session, it's all over at my website, zachrector.com. Feel free to get in touch, and we'd love to help you out. I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. God bless you all.